Most of the common problems that people who are working with outsourcers encounter are either because that person who hired somebody wasn't strict and decisive when they were making those hiring decisions, and instead they took somebody who looked good but was maybe missing a piece or two of the puzzle. And it turns out that that piece or two of the puzzle that was missing, like perhaps them having a second job, was much bigger than they thought it would be, or it's because of communication problems. So in this video, we'll talk about the ins and outs of working day to day with your outsourcers and keeping those communication lines open and flowing. So the first thing I want to talk about is using some sort of project management software. And Basecamp is what I use. You do not have to choose Basecamp. You do not have to choose anything fancy. But here's the problem that I've found that many other folks have experienced if you just do email. So you send your outsourcer an email and you say, I'd like you to do this, 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 and this. And then they reply back with a question, you reply back to that, and then they reply back with a question, you reply back to that. And then a week passes and you're like, gosh, didn't I tell him to do that thing? I don't know. I think I did. And then you go into your Gmail and you do a search, but you can't find that email because you've got a ton of emails from and to this person, your outsourcer, because you're talking to them all the time. And you can't find it. So then you send them an email and you say, oh, did you, did I ask you to do this? And then they're like, oh yeah, actually but I've been working on this first, these other things first. And it just isn't an efficient means of communication. There's lots of back and forth with email. There's lots of potential for things to get lost. And what you're doing when you're sending them an email is now you're saying it's up to you to organize how these things get done and in what priority and in what order. And it's really much easier on them and you if you just put it all into a project management solution. Now that could be as simple as a Google Docs spreadsheet that has a couple of different headings and then the different tasks that you've assigned listed out below, and maybe you can use even some color coding to show your outsourcer what's urgent and what isn't so urgent. It can be incredibly simple. Like I said, I use Basecamp. I like it, and that's fine. It's what works for me, and I've been using it for quite some time, but you don't have to go that route. The point being that you need to get out of email and have everything in one place. You want your outsourcer to be able to wake up in the morning, log into whatever project management area you guys have created, and see exactly what they are supposed to be doing that day, and not have to sort through emails to figure out what it is that they're supposed to be doing that day. You want it to be incredibly clear to them and to you, so you can look and say, oh, okay, so they should be working on this and this today. And that helps you guys both have a lot more realistic expectations of what they should be doing and how their time should be spent. Now, you also want to, in addition to the project management software, is have some sort of daily communication with your outsourcer, and I do that via a daily email. And I ask the outsourcers to send me an email every day at the end of the day letting me know the answers to 4 questions. And those questions that they are to answer in the email is, number 1, what did you do today? And I don't want to see something in that answer like wrote some blog posts. That doesn't tell me a whole lot, right? So I want to know exactly what they did today. Did they write 5 articles? Did they write 2? Did they post them on blogs? Did they send them out for link building? If so, where? If they post them on blogs, give me that URL. Now, I don't check this stuff every day. That would be a complete waste of my time. When somebody's new, of course I might do that. But once somebody's been with me a while, I don't check everything every day. And it isn't a matter of trust as much as it is of quality control in the beginning. So you should check that stuff to start. But once they've been with you a while and you know that they're doing decent work, you just want to know what they're up to so that you can get a feel for, okay, here's about how much this person can accomplish in a day. So if I ask them to do these things tomorrow, they should be able to finish that. Or, oh, wow, that'll probably take them 2 or 3 days to complete. So you really need to find out specifically what it is that they did each day. And that should be question 1 in the daily email. Now, question 2 is, what do you need help with? And a lot of times they'll need a password from you or a little bit of clarification on a particular thing. And they may, what my folks used to do is send me an email every time that they needed something. And then just like we talked about with the project management software, I would end up with 10 emails sitting in my inbox with various random questions from various outsourcers that I would wake up to and be like, oh my gosh, you know, what is all this? And then I wouldn't answer it because I'd think, oh, I'll get to that soon. And we know how that works out. Instead, when I ask them to put it all in one email, what they need help with right now, that, number one, it makes them use a little bit of self-control by keeping it all into the one email at the end of the day. They take a note of it and then they add it to their daily email at the end of the day. Number two, it makes it easier for you to manage because then you're not getting a whole bunch of emails with a whole bunch of random questions, and instead you're getting one email that you know you're going to reply to anyway, and you have the opportunity to answer their questions in that email. I also ask them to tell me what training they learned from that day. And that is because I put a lot of value, and always have, on having my outsourcers continue to learn more about the internet marketing industry as a whole. And so what I'll do is give them access to internet marketing courses or PDFs or videos and tell them, you know, hey, I'd like you to watch this. And what my folks do, and this was actually an idea that I did this informally, but now formally, based on something that I lifted from Pete Williams, I have them spend an hour a day actually working on training materials, whether that's reading or watching videos. So the question that I ask is, what training did you learn from today? And I want them to explain to me what portion of what course or what PDF they read, or sometimes I'll ask them to read certain articles or something that I thought were valuable personally and that they could get value from as well. So specifically, what did you learn from, and then what was it about? What did you learn from it? Because one of the things that I will do too is oftentimes have them go through a course that I don't have the time for, and then as they summarize it for me in the daily emails, I get an idea of what the course is about, and I can look at it and kind of go, okay, you know, I know what's going on there. I don't need to look deeper into that, or, oh wow, that sounds really intriguing. I think I will take the time out of my day to go over that course as well. So it's for their own personal development and learning in internet marketing so that they become better employees for me in the long term. And then I ask them to tell me what they're going to work on tomorrow, so that I know that we're on track with where I'm kind of steering things. And if I see that somebody's working on something tomorrow that I'm like, oh, you know, this other thing is more of a priority, that gives me a chance to let them know that I think that I would rather that they work on something else, that something else is a priority, and why. And it's important to always explain why to your employees too, because once they understand your thought process, then they can kind of start to anticipate the way that you would want things in the future. So they tell me what they're going to work on tomorrow, and I get a feel for how much they think that they can accomplish each day. I get a feel for how we're moving forward with our goals as a company, and I get a feel for if we're meeting the immediate needs, the must-do tasks, the things that have to be done right now. Are those things priorities for them as well? Are they aware that that thing is a priority? So next slide is kind of like common sense, common courtesy, but I do want to say these things for you so that you can have the best communication and relationship with your outsourcers. So when they send you an email, whether it's a question or their daily email or whatever it might be, respond to it. Now, I get daily emails every day from my folks, and I might not have something specific to say about a certain daily email. It looks like everything went smooth. It looks like everything is on track for tomorrow. I don't have anything to say. But what I will say is I'll reply and say, hey, thank you. Because I want them to know that I got it and that I appreciate it, that they're not just sending this into the ether and it disappears into a black hole. You know, it's you send an email out there and you don't get a response. You're like, oh, I wonder if they got it. You start doing that every day, and you kind of start to feel like you're not being heard. And I don't want my employees to feel that way. Even if they don't specifically need something from me, they get a response to the daily emails so that they know that I am reading them and that there is a purpose to them doing this. Also, if they have a question or need a day off or something like that, they might send you an email. Respond to those. Be responsive to them because you expect them to be responsive to you. So you should be responsive to them as well. Of course, you need to pay them on time and set up with them what that pay period or pay schedule will be. I pay my employees once per month at the beginning of the month. I ask them to send me an invoice. They know that if they don't send me an invoice, they won't get paid. I need it for my paperwork and as a reminder that they need to get paid. And once they send me that invoice, it usually gets paid within 2 days. So it's entirely up to them on what date they send the invoice. They might send it on the 1st, they might send it on the 6th, they might send it on the 14th. But once they do send that, I do get it paid promptly for them, and you need to do that for your employees as well. Also, thank them when they do a really good job on something. Let them know that that work was outstanding. Let them know that they're making progress. Let them know that you see really great potential. Let them know that the work that they're doing is appreciated. Everybody wants that, and your outsourced employees do as well. And to kind of give that an extra boost when they do something super exceptional or have been with you for a while, send them bonuses. If you're paying somebody 15,000 Philippine pesos per month, sending them an extra $50 or $100 makes a difference. And it's a way of not just having lip service, but backing up your thank yous with, hey, you know what, that was really exceptional. Thank you so much. There may be a project that you have and you ask them to work a little extra or at odd hours for an evening or two so that you can push through launching a site or anything like that where they kind of go above and beyond. Reward them for that. They deserve it. So with those tips, you ought to be able to get started with a really great relationship with your outsourced employee. And don't be afraid to ask about their friends or family or their lives. You don't want to dig too personally, but you will find that they are often a little bit more open than we are here in the United States. We've got lots of laws about asking our employees that kind of thing here. And I don't know what it's like in the other English-speaking countries, but we've got all kinds of laws against befriending your employees in any way. But when you're dealing with a virtual relationship where a lot of the way that you speak to each other is via text on a screen, you want them to know that you do care about them. And one of the ways that you can do that is just by asking after them, hey, I hope you had a good weekend. It doesn't have to be intrusive, but let them know that you care. And let them know when they do a good job. That's super duper important, and keep those communication lines open. And as long as you can do that, you ought to be able to maintain a good, healthy relationship with your outsourcer, and that will help them produce better work for you.